Amara and Vanessa grew up together in a serene town in western Nigeria. They were inseparable, best friends since childhood. From primary school to secondary and eventually university, they stayed side by side, dreaming together. Amara pursued mass communication, while Vanessa chose biochemistry. They both were intelligent and driven, dreaming of bright futures. Upon graduation, the duo moved on to complete their national youth service in different parts of the country. Amara's life took a romantic turn during her service year when she met Farouk, the handsome and gentle son of a wealthy northern businessman. Their connection was instant and deep, and soon Amara was spending more time with him and less with Vanessa. Vanessa noticed the change. She became uneasy and bitter about her friend's growing romance. One evening she confronted Amara. "You hardly have time for me anymore," Vanessa said with a pout. Amara, smiling softly, reassured her friend. "You will always be special to me, Vanessa, but you know how things go. I'm trying to build a future. Farouk could be the one." Vanessa pretended to understand, but jealousy quietly took root in her heart. She could not believe Amara was ahead of her in love and possibly marriage. Still, she masked her true feelings with a supportive facade, wishing secretly that the relationship would fail. Deep inside, the seeds of envy had begun to grow. Farouk's love for Amara grew stronger daily. After 6 beautiful months of dating, he surprised her with a proposal. Amara said yes, joyfully. She could not wait to share the news with Vanessa, believing her friend would celebrate with her. When Amara called Vanessa, the excitement in her voice was unmatched. Vanessa, though, masked her disappointment. "Oh my God, congratulations!" she exclaimed over the phone. But after hanging up, bitterness overtook her. She couldn't believe Amara had found love with a billionaire's son, while she remained single and unnoticed. "Why say we, her, and not me?" Vanessa asked her reflection angrily that night. She was convinced that she deserved Farouk. "I saw him first. If only I knew his worth, I would have made my move," she thought, her mind racing with jealousy. Despite her inner turmoil, Vanessa played the role of a supportive friend perfectly. She threw herself into helping Amara prepare for the wedding, earning admiration from Farouk's family, especially his mother, Hajia Zainab. Vanessa spent time running errands and offering unsolicited help, subtly ingratiating herself into Farouk's world. Amara appreciated her friend's devotion, never suspecting Vanessa's true intentions. Vanessa's envy was no longer silent. It had turned into obsession. She didn't just want Farouk for herself. She wanted to be Amara. Every loving glance Farouk gave Amara felt like a dagger to Vanessa's heart. Her plan began to form. The wedding day arrived. It was grand, elegant, and unforgettable. Amara and Farouk were celebrated by family, friends, and dignitaries. Vanessa stood proudly as the maid of honor, hiding her burning resentment behind a practiced smile. Months passed, and Amara's marriage blossomed. She became pregnant and later gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Jamil. Farouk doted on Amara and their son, ensuring they lacked nothing. Vanessa visited often, always helpful and charming. To outsiders, she was Amara's most loyal friend. Inside, she burned with jealousy as she watched Amara live the life she believed should be hers. Amara never noticed the growing darkness in Vanessa. The new mother was too busy embracing her role as wife and mother. Vanessa's envy deepened when Farouk's family began praising Amara more openly. She felt invisible, merely a guest in the perfect life she craved. After 4 years of marriage, Amara and Farouk celebrated their anniversary with a lavish party. Vanessa, as always, was present and helpful. She laughed, danced, and entertained guests, further embedding herself in the family's good graces. Behind closed doors, however, Vanessa's jealousy turned sinister. She began imagining what life would be if Amara were out of the picture. If only Amara didn't exist, Farouk and this house would be mine, she whispered to herself one fateful night, her mind racing with evil possibilities. Her decision was made. When Vanessa heard Amara express concern over her loneliness, she saw an opportunity. Amara wanted Vanessa to move in temporarily. Farouk hesitated, but eventually agreed to please his wife. Vanessa moved into the guest room, thrilled to be inside the home she long coveted. She played the perfect guest. Vanessa cooked, cleaned, and bonded with Farouk while subtly getting closer to him. Amara trusted her completely, oblivious to her hidden agenda. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, Amara's health began to decline. It started with mild headaches and fatigue, which worsened into alarming sickness. Doctors were baffled, running multiple tests but finding no answers. Farouk spent heavily, desperate to save his wife. But nothing worked. Vanessa pretended to be concerned. Secretly, she was behind it all. Every day she slipped small doses of poison into Amara's food and drinks. The poison was undetectable, slowly sapping Amara's strength. As Amara grew weaker, Vanessa became indispensable in the home. Farouk relied heavily on her to care for Jamil and handle household tasks. Vanessa played her role perfectly. Hiding her excitement each day, Amara grew frailer. Soon, Amara could no longer leave her bed. One gloomy evening, she breathed her last, surrounded by a devastated Farouk and clueless relatives. Vanessa had won the first phase of her evil plan. Amara's death shattered Farouk. He was inconsolable, blaming fate for taking his beloved wife. Vanessa, however, was there to comfort him at every turn. She cooked his meals, cared for Jamil, and ensured the household stayed afloat. Her presence became essential. Even Hajia Zainab praised her dedication. "You are like a second daughter to me," the older woman told her affectionately. Vanessa's heart swelled with satisfaction as her plan advanced smoothly. 3 weeks after the funeral, Vanessa hinted at leaving. She told Farouk it was time she gave them space to heal. But Farouk, fearing loneliness and concerned about Jamil's well-being, begged her to stay. Hajia Zainab also intervened, urging her to remain until things settled. Vanessa reluctantly agreed, solidifying her place in the home. Time passed, and as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Farouk and Vanessa grew closer. The mourning father soon found himself laughing again in Vanessa's company. Late-night conversations turned into intimate moments. One night, Vanessa made her move. Pretending to have a nightmare, she entered Farouk's room in revealing nightwear. Vulnerable and lonely, Farouk succumbed. They spent the night together, a decision Farouk immediately regretted the following morning. But Vanessa comforted him and normalized what had happened. Their secret affair blossomed quietly until Farouk officially introduced her to his family as the woman he intended to marry. Vanessa's dark desires had almost fully come true. Vanessa's engagement to Farouk was met with mixed emotions. Some questioned how quickly Farouk had moved on, but most accepted it. Hajia Zainab supported the union, claiming Amara would have wanted someone familiar and loving to care for Jamil. Preparations for a small but classy wedding began. Farouk traveled on urgent business, leaving Vanessa in charge of the home. Finally, Vanessa had it all: Amara's husband, her home, and her position as queen of the house. But there was one obstacle left: Jamil. Without Farouk around, Vanessa's true nature emerged. She began to vent her frustrations on the innocent child. One morning, after Jamil failed to wake up on time, Vanessa barged into his room and dragged him out of bed. "You useless boy, you think you're royalty here," she snapped. Vanessa slapped him hard and ordered him to clean the house without food. The child cried, but obeyed. He was only 6, too young to understand why his auntie was so cruel. The mistreatment continued. Jamil was starved, insulted, and worked like a servant. Vanessa saw him as a reminder of Amara and treated him harshly. What once was a home filled with love became a cold prison for the boy. Jamil missed his mother terribly. At night, he would cry himself to sleep, clutching the only picture he had of her. He didn't understand why Vanessa, once loving, had turned into a monster. But deep inside, he knew something was terribly wrong, and he had to find a way to protect himself. Farouk's return brought temporary relief to Jamil. Vanessa pretended to be loving and motherly while he was around. She cooked Jamil's favorite meals and showered him with fake affection. Farouk, oblivious to the truth, was pleased with Vanessa's care. "She's doing such a good job," Farouk often told Hajia Zainab. To him, Vanessa was proving to be a worthy wife and stepmother. Jamil, however, knew the truth. He feared Vanessa, but was intelligent beyond his years. Slowly, he began piecing together her cruel nature and the drastic change in his life since his mother's death. He realized Vanessa only treated him kindly when Farouk was home. Determined to protect himself, Jamil decided to avoid confrontation. He began to quietly observe Vanessa and planned to record evidence of her actions. One evening, Vanessa's rage reached a terrifying peak. Furious after Jamil spilled water accidentally, she slapped him and, in a moment of arrogance, revealed her dark secret. "I killed your mother, you brat," Vanessa hissed, unaware that Jamil had hidden his tablet nearby, recording everything. "She took what was mine, and now she's gone. If you dare oppose me, you'll join her." Jamil's heart pounded as he listened. Tears welled up, but he stayed silent. That night, after Vanessa slept, he watched the recording over and over. It was real. He finally had proof. The innocent boy knew the risk. Vanessa was dangerous. But he also knew one thing. He needed to protect himself and his late mother's honor. A plan began to form. The wedding day drew near, and the house buzzed with activity. Vanessa walked around like a queen, controlling every detail. Jamil, however, remained quiet and distant, carefully waiting for the right moment. 2 days before the ceremony, Farouk and the entire family gathered for a pre-wedding dinner. Jamil approached Hajia Zainab shyly and requested that everyone gather in the living room. He said he had something very important to show them. Curious, Hajia Zainab called everyone together. Farouk, uncles, aunts, and even Vanessa herself sat waiting as Jamil stood nervously before them. Vanessa's smile faltered. She felt a sudden wave of unease but brushed it off, confident in her influence over the family. "Uncle Kabiru, please help me connect my tab to the big screen," Jamil requested politely. Kabiru obliged. Moments later, a video began to play. The family gasped as Vanessa's confession echoed through the room. "I killed your mother. She took what was mine. If you dare oppose me, you'll join her." Silence filled the room. The revelation hit Farouk like thunder. Hajia Zainab's face went pale with shock. Vanessa tried to interrupt, claiming Jamil was hallucinating, but the video evidence was undeniable. "You monster!" roared in fury. Vanessa attempted to flee, but Kabiru grabbed her, pinning her to the ground until the police arrived. The room turned into chaos as the woman they trusted was exposed as a murderer. Jamil clung to his grandmother, sobbing. The darkness Vanessa had hidden for so long was finally dragged into the light. Vanessa was arrested immediately. The scandal spread rapidly, shaking the entire community. Her betrayal was too deep and unforgivable. Her friends, family, and society turned their backs on her, as police investigations revealed overwhelming evidence. During the trial, Jamil's video was played before the court. Vanessa's legal team tried to argue emotional instability, but her confession and calculated poisoning were impossible to deny. The judge, deeply moved by the cruelty towards Amara and Jamil, showed no mercy. After weeks of trial, Vanessa was found guilty of premeditated murder and child abuse. The court sentenced her to death by hanging. Her screams echoed through the courtroom, but nobody showed sympathy. Farouk felt broken beyond words. He had trusted Vanessa, brought her into his home, and unknowingly endangered his son. He wept bitterly in private, ashamed that Amara's death was due to his blindness. At the sentencing, Jamil quietly whispered, "This is for you, Mom." Hajia Zainab, equally devastated, spent her days seeking forgiveness through prayers. The family fell silent and reflective, forever scarred by Vanessa's evil. The home, once filled with laughter, became a quiet place of healing and remembrance. Vanessa's chapter had closed, but her evil left behind wounds that would take years to heal. 3 months after Vanessa's execution, Farouk stood at Amara's grave with Jamil and Hajia Zainab. They placed fresh flowers and stood silently as the cool breeze whispered through the cemetery. "I failed you," Farouk said softly, tears streaming down his cheeks. "But I will never fail our son again." Jamil held his father's hand tightly. Though still young, he had matured beyond his years through pain and loss. "I miss you, Mommy," he whispered to the grave. After that day, Farouk made a solemn vow. He devoted his time entirely to raising Jamil, rejecting every suggestion of remarriage. He rebuilt his bond with his son, ensuring the boy never felt unloved again. Hajia Zainab also took an active role, providing Jamil with care, wisdom, and support. Slowly, the wounds began to heal. Laughter eventually returned to the house, though Amara's absence was always felt like a gentle shadow. Years passed. Jamil grew up into a strong, confident young man. At his university graduation, he gave a heartfelt speech. "Everything I am and will become is because of the sacrifices of my late mother. Her love lives on in me." Farouk, teary-eyed, stood proudly beside his son. Though tragedy had torn them apart once, love and justice brought them back together. Their story became a legend in their town, not of tragedy alone, but of survival, truth, and unbreakable bonds.